I can see you. We're just going to come out of nightclub mode. Hello! And come into live mode. Good evening, one and all. Welcome to the JFDI podcast from High G's here in the heart and in the loft of West Lothian. I'm excited. I am really excited to introduce you to tonight's guest. This is the first time we've done this, but he's such a pro, right? He's such a pro. He didn't need to come on. He just came on. He's in the green room. I haven't actually had a chance to speak to him, so I'm just going to bring him straight in. And we're going to get cracking, and we're going to talk tunes. We're going to talk about life. I know he's going to bring some fire. He's going to entertain you this evening, as he does on social media. I think I said in the intro that social media, if you watch it, thought-provoking, inspiring, light-hearted, often funny on occasions, and some of the techniques, tips and tricks that he uses is absolutely fantastic. He'll tell you whereabouts you can find him later on. So, Phil Hyland, come in to the studio. How the devil are you?
Oh, mate, do you know what? I might watch this back and record. That again?
Yeah, there we go.
We're there. Can you hear me? Testing.
Yeah, I've got you, mate.
I'm going to record that, watch that back, that intro, mate, and record it and send it to my mum, because I think that's the best introduction I've ever had anywhere.
Well, you see, I do my research, mate. I know you, and I think that the least that I can do for guests is give them a little bit of a proper introduction. I learned from the best here. The worst thing that I think that you could possibly do is bring someone on a podcast and then ask them to tell everybody who they are.
Oh, it goes a bit flat, doesn't it? It does go a bit flat, mate. I love that setup you got there. How cool is that?
Well, do you know what it is? It's just the way that the loft is. This is actually the rafters. It is. We could not get any higher in the loft, and I am literally here. This is like the wall. Yeah.
That is mega. Is that like, have you felted it or something?
All I've done is I've put there's a bit of thick cardboard there, and then this here is like what I do, like most people, when stuff from the house gets relegated to the loft, I've kind of sifted through it over the last sort of 10 years, picked out the best of it. These are like, well, I did have my mum's velvet curtains, but she asked for them back. So these are like a slightly cheaper velvet curtain. These are velvet curtains that my good lady wife didn't want, so they just ended up here decorating.
Everyone has velvet curtains up there and they don't want them.
Yeah, exactly.
And for a velvet curtain lover like you, that's like win-win, isn't it, really?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Mate, I'm pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, listen, thank you for agreeing to come on. It's brilliant to speak to a variety of people, but I've known you for what, a couple of years now?
Well, we met, didn't we? It was the last. So we were both part of a pro coaching program, and my last quarterly event that program ran was when I met you. So we were sat there. Lee was there, and we were sat on a table, and there was you and a few other bodies. It was good fun. I remember that. It was good fun, good quarterly, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a good night, actually.
It was a good night. I think I was up until about 3 a.m. with Mark Webb that night. Jesus Christ! And then I stayed in a room. Because I tried to get a really cheap room. Where I stayed, it was a shared bathroom. Like I'm 40, but I was like 38 years old. There was a shared bathroom. There was just a random fridge in this massive room, but and a bed, and that was it, a fridge and a bed. Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. Anyway, good times.
Yes, indeed. It was, like I say, it was brilliant. And I think that might have been when you were first introduced to the cold exposure as well. But was it?
I'd actually been doing cold showers before then for quite a while.
Right.
That was the first time that I had proper, because he was a Wim Hof dude, wasn't he? A
Yeah.
proper Wim Hof kind of instructional like seminar type thing. Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? I remember, because that was the first time I'd ever done that 30 breathing, 30 breaths in, and the proper breathing technique. And we all lay on the floor. Do you remember? I remember. And we did 3 rounds of this breathing. And everyone got up like, geez, I feel like I've taken something, this massive rush. And I do it now. I do, as you know, I get in a wheelie bin every single day, and I do it every day with that. Yeah. Mega.
It's brilliant. And that you're right. I've got one of the t-shirts now. It's like a set of lungs, and it says on it, "Get high on your own supply." And that's what he says. You know, but it gives you that feeling.
I totally do. That after that last breath, for anyone that's done it, it's, if you haven't done it, you've got to try it, because that last breath in, the breath out, and you hold it, and then when you suck it in at the end. Did you get this? Like, I get this. I don't know about you, but I get this kind of like white noise at first of all, and then it disappears as you hold your breath at the top, and it's like you get these moments of mad clarity. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to explain unless you've done it. It's too hard to explain.
It is, and it's the longer, the more sort of varied kind of sort of breathing techniques that you use, because it can induce a variety of different sort of like physical feelings, but also emotions as well. I love it, but I think people know that, given how much I go on about it. So
totally, mate. Have you heard of holotropic breathing?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, well, I've done that. I've done that twice. It's like an hour-long process, and you do it so it's linked to this. You do it along to a soundtrack, right? So you split it into 3 20-minute sections, and each 20-minute music section that you listen to is focused around something different. Like there's an emotional phase and a speedy phase, and that's pretty gnarly. Yeah, that's a real crazy thing.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. Anyway, we could probably talk about cold exposure and breathing all night, but we're going to talk about music tonight, aren't we?
Into some music, yeah, definitely.
How many podcasts have you been on and talked about tunes?
And talked about what? Tunes? None. I didn't understand what you said then. Tunes. Yeah, none, mate. I haven't talked about tunes on any podcasts that I've been on. And I love tunes, mate. I love music. I've got a very wide and eclectic taste in tunes. And picking 5 songs, mate, is hard work. Like I'm not going to lie, I'm quite a calm guy. I'm stressed out about that because that's a hard choice. My most normal people split their Spotify up into various playlists, don't they? I don't do that. I've got 49 hours of music in one. It's just titled Everything.
Oh my.
Yeah, I know. Makes shuffle quite interesting though.
I was going to say, did you just hit shuffle?
Yeah, well, mate, it was tough. It was tough, and even I'm thinking, as soon as I sent you those choices, I'm like, there's better songs I could have chosen. But what you said tunes that kind of mean something, right? And I like a lot of old music, but a lot of that doesn't. I just like it to listen to. It's the stuff that I've listened to more since I've been around that really has a bit more of a meaning to me, as we'll find out.
Yeah, well, let's dive straight into it. Let's go to your first tune, which is Paul Simon and Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the whole Graceland album, in my opinion, is one of the best albums ever written. And this causes controversy and debate and that. But Graceland is just a banger of an album. Those tunes, those albums you can put on any time of day, no matter how you're feeling, and you're like, yes. Every song on the album is good. Diamonds in the Soles of Her Shoes, it means something to me because I went traveling when I was younger, and it reminds me of this 9 months I had away, right? Me and four or five of us, and I just remember one specific time we were in, I think it was Cambodia or Vietnam, on a coach, and I had that album I was listening to. I was looking. It sounds a bit cringy and cheesy. I was looking out the window. But Diamonds on the Soles of Her Shoes was playing, and there was these cool scenes of jungle type territory, and just like this is the one. Do you know what I mean? I'm loving this. And I don't know if you know, but my story, I was quite an anxious kid and I didn't have much confidence when I was younger. And even through my 20s, even when I was traveling, I was a very, my mind wasn't really where I wanted it to be. But at that moment on that bus, listening to this tune, I was just like, when you feel those moments of calmness and that come over you, I'm like, this is just me. So yeah, and it's a good tune, and it also makes me laugh because that trip we had massive arguments about what lyrics in songs mean, and this tune came up, right, and we were like, my mate was saying it means this, I was saying it means this, my other mate's just like, for fuck's sake, it's just a song, man, just listen to it and shut up. So it reminds me of those days, mate, and whilst my mind wasn't where I wanted it to be when I was like 22, 23, there was times where it was just everything was cool, so good song.
It's nice that though. I like that, and I'll kind of come back to the traveling a little bit later on. But you just touched on there about your childhood and stuff like that. So why don't we just kind of start there? And I'm interested to know, as a kid, so a young child, before sort of pre-teen, when you were, as a youngster, as kind of far back as you can remember, what was your dream job?
Oh, mate, I'll tell you what, I didn't really have a dream job when I was young. I never really wanted to be a footballer or anything like that. But as I got a bit older, I don't think, that's a really good question. What was my dream job? I never really had any idea. And in fact, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do probably until I was about 23, 24, right? Really, an inkling, even an industry, mate. But what I do know is I wanted a job with no response. I remember saying once I would quite like to be a lorry driver. No offense to lorry drivers, but I wanted to just have a job I can shut myself away on my own and have no responsibility. Just drive, get from here to there. That's it. I convinced myself I wouldn't be able to do a job of any kind of position or power or responsibility because I had this massive inferiority complex. I thought everyone was better than me. I'm not good enough. I won't have the skills to become X, Y, Z, So I was like, I don't know. I'll just do something that's easy, something where I can go home at the end of the day and, just kind of shut off from it all, really. So, I kind of didn't really have any aspirations when I was younger. Sounds quite sad to say that, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't actually. I completely get that until probably about maybe sort of 3 or 4 years ago. If people had said to me that very question, it's like, you said you didn't know what you kind of wanted to do until your mid-20s. Of course, when I was young, I wanted to play for Scotland and, wanted to be a rock star and kind of at one point thought about being a private detective. But they were because I watched programs like The Dukes of Hazzard and because I watched like the Rockford Files and because I watched football and liked music. But the reality was in there, they were like pipe dreams. They were never anything that I was ever going to do anything about. And I kind of similarly went through my 20s, even having joined the Air Force and kind of not knowing what to do. So that makes, I get it. I get it. There's a lot of people that come on and they go, I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this. I've always wanted this. But that kind of makes, that does make sense. It does make sense. So
that wasn't me at all, man. Yeah.
So at that, that sort of age, you were saying that you didn't have, you didn't really know what to do. You kind of, you didn't think that you were capable of doing these things. Not confident, I'm guessing. How did that sort of materialize and sort of affect those years of your life?
So I was quite an anxiousy little kid. I was a worrier. The first day at school, I was at primary school, I stood facing the wall, just crying for the whole lunchtime. I know it sounds such a sob story. And I was a bit of a twitchy kid and all of that, And I kind of, as I grew up, I had good mates at school. I was a bit of a, not Jack the Lad and that, but we had good fun and everything else. I wasn't kind of the kid that sat on his own and all of that by any stretch, but I just wasn't really there. You know what I mean? I wasn't really that person that I wanted to be. Grew up and I kind of just wandered. Went to uni and that was good, but was quite drunk most of the time. You know what I mean? You know how it is. So that was cool. Went traveling, but then I came back from traveling and I had a year that was not particularly pleasant, right? Because you've been done uni, done traveling. Now what, man? What am I going to do now? I don't know what I want to do. It's like 22, 23. Had no idea what I wanted to do. So I got a job I think my sister's boyfriend at the time got me a job in a travel aid and an online travel company, right? Now, I hadn't done geography since I was about 14, 15. So there's people ringing up going, oh, hello. I had to call myself Andrew as well, right? My name's Phil, obviously. And I was like, what? I said, mate, I said, right, you're going to be Andrew. So my name's Phil. So you've already got a Phil. You need to be an Andrew. I was like, I don't want to be an Andrew. They're like, no, you're going to be Andrew. So I'd have to answer the bloody phone. Hello, dial a flight. This is Andrew speaking. I mean, that's weird enough as it is. And then they're saying, oh, yeah, hi, I need to get to fucking Ecuador tomorrow. Okay, can I put you on hold? Speak to the manager. Where do I go to Ecuador? Where's the airport? I don't know, So, and then I had to work. I just didn't know what I was doing. It was horrible, mate. I took an hour for lunch every day. I'd have a few beers with my pals that were there. And it was crap. So I left there and I'm like, now what? I don't know. I was living at home. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to get a job in a gym. I'd always been sporty. I was a hockey player throughout my entire life up until I smashed my knee when I was 19. I'll get a job in a gym. So did that. A 3-year sports science degree isn't enough to work at your local leisure centre. So you've got to do another course. Did this level 2 course, applied for a job, got it. And I absolutely loved it. I'm like, this I'm now on the road to doing something that I actually enjoy. I loved it. I was there talking to people. It was brilliant, doing gym programs and shouting at people. I found my voice a little bit, to be honest. And it was great. And that was the turning point. It was when I started to not wander through life, waking up every day going, what do I do? I don't know what I'm doing today. Where am I going to go? I can't apply for jobs because I don't know what I want to do. I was just wandering aimlessly about. Yeah. And then I got this job and then I found a bit of direction. And then it all started to go, it's not like this, is it? It was like this. But the general trajectory was going in the right direction. And things started to change, mate. That's when things really changed.
Right. Okay. So was that the kind of the start of the trajectory towards the coaching?
Yeah, 100%. So I worked in there for this gym for 6 months. Then I started personal training, which was awesome. Started earning a bit more cash. And then I thought, right, this is good. But Billy Big Potatoes, I'm like, I've outgrown this gym. I'm going to leave and set up my own business, right? I was only 24, had no idea how to run a business. I left. I thought everyone's going to follow me. I'll train them in their houses and blah, blah, blah. I left. No fucker followed me, did they? They just stayed in the gym. So all these clients that promised me the world. So I was on my own, like, oh, no idea about marketing, no idea how to get any business. And so that flopped. And then I thought, right, okay, you can, as a trainer, what you tend to do, you can rent a space in a gym. You can rent the gym and give them a monthly fee, try and get some business, right? So I did that. That flopped, borrowed money off my dad. Didn't get any business there. Again, zero idea how to market. That flopped, and then luckily got him with a PT team, quite a fancy gym in central London, and they taught me everything I needed to know. And then I became a manager for them. Then I kind of helped run the business with them, really. I became a lecturer, so I started then teaching people how to become PTs. Ran courses, like 12-week courses, qualifying people. So that was good. That was really, really good. And then I just kind of evolved, mate. And I realized that the reason people don't get results from the gym is not because they don't know what to do. It's because of in here. It's right. I'm just not sticking to it because of the way my mind is. And exercise is just one cog in the feeling good wheel. You know what I mean? So I kind of evolved. And yeah, and also because I met you in a sort of personal development program. I was part of that for a long time.
Yeah.
Joined another one, learned a shitload in another one, and just thought, you know what, this has helped me so much. I can use this and help other people. Put my own weird kind of spin on it, which I sort of do.
So what is it? Well, in actual fact, right? So I put on the intro there because you've got this program called Project Upgrade. I was going to ask you about it later, but we'll ask you about it now because we're there. So Project Upgrade. I love the what you help people do to worry less, laugh more, and the last bit, which I think was brilliant, is how to squeeze more out of the gonads of life.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. I've got a wristband and it says all that on there, but I couldn't fit that last bit on there, so I just changed it to live fully. Yeah, squeezing more. Who doesn't want to squeeze more from the gonads of life? I think there's so much emphasis on getting rid of anxiety, getting rid of stress and overwhelm. People are transfixed on, right, I've got to get rid of this. I've got to run away from something. Well, let's bollocks to that. Let's run towards something instead, and let's run towards getting more out of life, having more experiences, learning more, learning more skills and all of that kind of jazz. And I think when you start to live fully or squeeze more from the gonads of life, then all of those anxieties and the worry and the confidence and all that, it changes on its own. And it does. I know it does because of the programs that I run, which like the 4-week one that you just mentioned, Project Upgrade, which I love running, man. I love running it.
So you talk. I like that. You talk about like running towards something. But I do have a question here next on the list, actually.
Go for it.
Which is, how important do you think that it is to look back and reflect? So whilst running towards something, how important do you think it is to kind of stop every now and then and look back? Reflect.
Massively important. Massively. The answers lie in the reflections. There you go. There's you put that on a t-shirt. The answers lie in the reflections. When you reflect, you extract lessons and insights, and I've got a journal every week. I reflect. I get the guys in my programs to fill out a little online form and reflect every week. Because if you don't, you kind of lose trajectory. You lose your way a little bit, So it's very, very important to look back. It's important to look back to reflect, but it's not. It's also important to look how far you've come. You know what I mean? And I sometimes lose sight of that fact. Like I can beat myself up a little bit about should be doing this, should be doing that. But 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I didn't have much of an online business. Now I've put hundreds of people through a free 7-day challenge, a load of people through the 4-week thing, a load of people through the academy, which I run. And I've got a live event on Saturday with 9 people coming from all around the UK, man, which I can't tell you how grateful I am, for a kid who didn't have much confidence and wanted to do a job of not much responsibility. And now I've got people coming from places like Scotland, where your neck of the woods, to London town to see me talk for the day. It's amazing. And I sometimes lose sight of that fact. So it's really important to look back. Definitely is.
Yeah, it is. Do you know what I do when I find myself in a pickle with that is, and how I remind myself to do that is Ferris Bueller. That little Ferris Bueller clip from the film.
Yeah.
Where it starts, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while,
mate,
looking back, you might miss it.
100%. And that then leads into just being present and being present with yourself and the day, because life will run away. Life will run away from you, and you'll get to 60, 70, 80, and you'll look back and go, Jesus, that passed me by, And that's something that I work. I work quite hard on myself, right? And presence is a big deal. And I do a lot of things now, right, that the younger me would have laughed at. Would have thought, what on earth is? Come on, mate, just chill out, have a beer and chill yourself. But I get in a wheelie bin full of ice cold water every single day, like we've talked about. I sit on a bench in the park, right? I go around the woods, I look like a pedo or something. I'm the only person in the woods at like 7 a.m. without a dog. I'm there with a hoodie and a beanie on, like trying to.
Me too.
Yeah, everyone's like, "What's
Yes,
this guy?" Mate, it gets worse. I sit on a bench just under this tree, and the path goes around the tree. So if someone's coming round the path, they're kind of greeted by me in a hoodie, just sat there, normally with my eyes shut, just sort of meditating on this bench. Yeah, I feel a bit awkward sometimes, but waiting to see me in the local paper. But,
Yeah, I'm going to say you've never been knocked on the shoulder by the local Bobby.
oh, mate, I mean, it's a sad world we live in, isn't it? That I'm thinking, or maybe I shouldn't do this because I might, scare someone or whatever. I'm just sat there, but yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway, but I do that, and I sit there. I try and implement some kind of stillness in my day because I'm quite on the go the whole time, and I try and incorporate some kind of stillness, silence in my day. And I sit there, sometimes eyes shut, sometimes eyes open, and just observe and look around and just see what you can see. Do you know, like no phones, no notifications, no bloody Instagram and what have you. Just me, just being there and practicing the art of being present. I think that's a lot of people have lost that, I think.
Yeah, and I think when you mention the word meditation to a lot of people, they kind of, they scoff at it. But I think that stillness, scientifically, it kind of helps reduce things like stress and anxiety and kind of that sort of worry that you talk about as well. Just that stillness, a little bit of time to let the brain, and it doesn't even have to be like trying to remove all the thoughts. It's actually sometimes just letting yourself catch up and just having that peace and just stillness, like you say.
Oh, mate. Well, also, I mean, if we're not, if we're going to get a bit crazy, the present right now is the only thing that's real, right?
Yeah.
The past has already happened, and the future hasn't even happened yet, and it's all based largely on assumptions, and that's where anxiety comes from because it's a fear-based emotion, right? So when we're there, I'm worrying and fear. When we're back here, can't believe that person said that 10 years ago, and I'm still thinking about it. These are really nice places to be. So let's try and spend more time right now in the present and enjoying the moment.
I think it was, I'm not sure, it's in our good friend Arjuna Ishaya's book, where he says, imagine, and I think it was during his training, he says, try and imagine that this moment right now was the only moment that existed. And how would you behave then? If now was all you had? And it kind of makes you think.
It's a very sobering thought, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Mate, I'm going on a 2-day hike with him in a couple of weeks. I cannot wait.
Are you? I was supposed to go on one of the meditation weekends there in January, and it got cancelled or postponed. But we're doing it in July. But that'll be great. Make sure you jump in the water as well.
I'm gonna. I said to him, mate, I hope you realise as soon as I see some water, I'm getting in it. In it. Well, what I originally wanted to do, because he's a kayaker, right? He's a white water kayaker. And there's a film on Netflix, I don't know if you've seen it, about extreme kayaking. And I'm like, I want to get some of this in my life, man, because I'm big into flow states as well, right? I don't know if you know much about that, but flow state and white water kayaking, I'm like, I want to get some of that in my life. I know a kayaker who's a pretty awesome bloody dude as well. Junior, so I gave him a message and I'm like, mate, I've never been kayaking before. I don't own any gear. Can you take me kayaking? And he's like, if you've never done it and you haven't got any gear, not really. However, find a local place, moron. But let's go hiking instead. Because I said to him, I'll repay you. I'll buy you dinner or something, and we'll have some nice life philosophical chats. Because he's a cool guy to talk to, isn't he?
One of the coolest. Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely.
The insights that you get from the things he says are just incredible. But he said, no, we can't go kayaking, but let's go for a hike instead, and we'll have some nice chats. And so we're going up Scarfield Pike. We're going up like a sort of weird off-key route that hopefully is a bit dangerous. And I can't wait.
Nice. We'll enjoy that and give him my best, won't you?
We'll do, mate. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah.
Shall we move on to your next song?
Do it. Yeah, I can't remember what it was, to be honest.
It's A Little Respect by Erasure.
Oh yes, yeah. Bit of a random choice that. So it's a great song to sing, especially the high bits. Right, I can't sing it. I can't sing at all, but it's one of those that annoys the hell out of everyone. But the reason that's on the list is because when I was younger, we went on a few family holidays, like in my dad's little metro and all of that. And there was one tape that he just played over and over again, and it was I think I don't know why, but me and I've got two sisters. It's called the Weetabix tape. I think it came from a Weetabix packet, like where you save up the coupons. I don't know, but it's just the Weetabix tape. This is such a weird thing to talk about. But on it was a little respect. There was loads of other tunes. It was like a little mini album, and that was on there. And it just reminds me of that Weetabix tape, which reminds me of my sisters and my family and these holidays. So that's kind of why it's on there. It evokes these memories. You know what I mean? And I'm quite a family oriented. Well, I'm a very family orientated person. You know, I've got a really tight group. My family, we're a good bunch. So yeah, anything that makes me kind of think of them is good. So that's why that's on there.
Oh, it's lovely. That is.
Yeah.
That's lovely. So that's the shout out to the family one as well.
Shout out to the family one. That one, you got to say that, haven't you? Really got to include them. Otherwise, if they listen, they're like, "Why the hell did you not mention me, you bastard?"
Right.
So, yeah.
You see, when you mention this as well, because we've done this a few times. What else was on that tape? So this, you can get a few freebies here as well, because it's all relating to that Weetabix tape. I'm taking it was like a mixtape, was it?
Yeah, it was. So I was thinking of that. There's one that I always remember. Life is Life. Do you remember that one? Something Revival.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, so that was on there. I can't remember what else was on there. I don't know. The only other song, they weren't on the Weetabix tape though, and it's Kylie and Jason. That was another tape, you know, Kylie and Jason. Oh man, yeah, especially for you and all of that. And and when you've got two sisters, mate, you're kind of outnumbered. You know, you get. I know all the words to like Spice Girls and Kylie and all of that, just because yeah.
Brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, family's quite a big deal for me, mate. I try to live in as much alignment with my values and principles and that, and family's quite up there with on my values list. So yeah, I see them a lot. Spend a lot of time with them.
What else is up there? What's your like top three? Families like up there. What
families up there. Experiences are up there. I like experiencing as much as I possibly can. You know, see it making these two holes in my face. See as many different things in life as possible. You know, and I don't mean like traveling the world, although I love traveling about, but just different things, just odd, like, you know, putting my body through kind of weird things and that, and you know, like hence the wheelie bin. So I go in there sometimes in the dark at night just because it's different. You know what I mean? I did a call with my group earlier about you know, putting your body into situations it wouldn't normally go in, right? And getting in a wheelie bin in the dark is fucking weird, mate. The neighbours must think I don't know what they must think, because after when I get out, especially when it's light and they can see, I just stand there in my swimming trunks, dripping wet, and like have a few takes and breaths. It's nice though, because you know what it's like when you get out. The temperature outside is way warmer than inside, right? So you're like, this is nice, isn't it? You get that rush of blood back to your extremities, and you're like, whoa, man, I feel wicked.
You should give them the full effect and just stay out there for a few minutes and do the old horse stance.
And I was thinking that, yeah. I was thinking of doing that, but just doing it naked. And if they see me, then more for them, really.
Yeah. Do you know, I think we're more and more alike. If my good lady wife's watching this, she'll be like, not another one.
Yeah, I know. There's a few of us around. The thing is, and I was talking to someone about this, we're talking quite a lot about it, actually. When you come across people who kind of fit in with your sort of values and you're on that, you'll know what I mean, that same kind of energy vibe and that wavelength, they're the sort of people to hang on to. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, when we're talking there about finding other weirdos who get in wheelie bins and that, it's brilliant because you have something, you've got that thing in common. You know, like me and you were probably very different, but we've got these kind of common, you know, characteristics, i.e. we do weird things like getting a bin full of ice cold water. And that's something that I've tried to have in my life going, you know, certainly in the last few years, when I come across someone who has that similar kind of energy and that, and, you know, you just click, right? keep them in your life, man, because they're the people that add value, and they're the ones to keep in. You know what I mean?
Really. Whilst you're talking about the wheelie bin there, sort of all joking aside about it as well, because we spoke about like the breathing. What sort of benefits yourself? What benefits have you experienced from being in the cold?
Well, I don't know. I can't really say this for sure, but I very rarely. Oh, I shouldn't say this. Touch wood. Very rarely get ill. I very rarely get the sniffles and all of that. And I'm generally in decent shape, and I think that has something to do with it. I love getting out. Like, I just love it, mate. When I get out of it, that feeling, and you'll know, anyone that's done this will resonate with this. You get out, and it's not just that feeling of, hey, I've pushed myself and I've made myself uncomfortable, and that makes me feel good. It's more to it than that. There's that feeling of that euphoric feeling, and the colder it is, the water, the better, the more you get that when you get out. And I know that's been researched. You'll know that because you're qualified, right? You've done the Wim Hof thing.
I've done the whole course, and I was supposed to go out to Poland to graduate in January, and I couldn't go because I couldn't give them a negative PCR test because the whole family tested positive over Christmas. So I've not been and actually gone and done the Mount Snezka walk in my shorts. I was gutted, but I think I'll get to do it sort of sometime early summer. So yeah, I'm there bar in the box. Yeah.
So you'll know more than me, but it's that feeling of that euphoric feeling of you get all these like tingles, don't you, when you come in and you're like, it's brilliant. I'll tell you what I found. I don't know. Tell me if you find this, but the quicker I put clothes back on, like the colder I tend to feel. If I come in and I just like walk around in my pants or nothing, to be fair, most of the time with blinds down, I stay a nicer temperature. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and I can tell you why that is as well, because when you get out, because of the way in which our bodies work, like what you're doing with the cold is that you're exposing your body, like you say, you're putting your body in a situation that it's not normally used to in our nice, comfortable world. But what you're doing is you're putting it under a controlled amount of stress, and so when you do that, it's like a workout for your cardiovascular system. So your blood vessels and capillaries and sort of veins, they're all contracting and expanding based on like how quickly they get cold and how quickly they get hot. That's why when you go in the cold, if you put your hands and your feet are the first thing to get like really, really cold, because what your body's doing, it's like it's working itself and it's pushing the blood towards your core to maintain your your core body temperature. So when you get out, your body is still adapting. So it's not like when you get out of the cold, your body sort of all of a sudden says, right, oh, I'm going to warm up now. Your temperature actually continues to drop. So if you get out and you immediately right into like a really hot shower or like warm blanket or like loads of clothes on, you're kind of heating up the outside of your body whilst your body temperature inside is continuing to drop. So it kind of that's why the whole horse stance is used, to kind of heat up from the legs up. Because if you don't watch kind of how you raise your temperature back up again, you can get sort of hypothermia, go into like hypothermic state and get the shivers and stuff like that. So
that is really interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's fascinating.
It is. But it's like you say, it's like a workout for your insides, basically.
Yeah. Well, totally. Well, that's why, and again, you'll know more than me about this, like immunity in that. You're putting your body into acute stress, and your body then triggers that stress response. And the better it is at used to dealing with that, then when a real stress comes in, like illness, it fights it much better. So yeah, I'm all over it, mate. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Again.
Yeah.
Should we do another tune?
Yeah, do it, mate. Yeah.
So the third song, do you know, when I was looking at the choice, it's like you say, that it's such a variety here. like from Paul Simon and Erasure, you know, we're moving on. The next 3 songs are completely different genres, totally.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to a kind of country song, really, aren't we?
Oh, this is a banger. This song is a real belter. This one.
Hunting, Fishing, and Loving Every Day by Luke Bryan.
Luke Bryan. If anyone hasn't heard this, have you heard this song?
Yeah, I listen to them all. I always do this. I've got my little routine before I come on, and I listen to them as I'm getting ready. Yeah, it is a great song.
It's a great song, mate. I love it. Country music is just banging. I don't know why. I just love it. I've got this thing where I want to sit in a rocking chair, you know, like in the old kind of American houses on a porch, drinking a whiskey, listening to. There's a select amount of tunes. I always say this is like a whiskey tune, you know, sitting there sipping a whiskey, listening to a bit of like country. This tune, Hunting, Fishing, and Loving Every Day, is wicked. Not just because it's, again, a banger to kind of sing along to, but the lyrics, it's not my perfect life, but it describes such a cool way of living. You know, this bloke is talking about, if I could make money by fishing, then I would be. You know, if I'm happiest sitting in the woods, drinking a beer, you know, drinking whiskey, going out. I'm not massive into hunting, but, you know, fishing and just loving every day, he says. And I'm like, yeah, man, that's the one. So yeah, it's cool. You know, I'm a big fisherman as well, mate. You know that?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I've a lot of your videos are sort of you either talk about it or that you've done quite a few when you've been away, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, well, that's another thing. You know, talk about experiences. Fishing is like a proper passion of mine. I can't get enough of it, mate. So I've got me and a couple of mates, and one of those mates, we go on quite a few little adventures. So we'll go to Wales. We've been, you know, down south to Southampton, to a specific river to catch a specific type of fish. Like we'll drive 2.5 hours just to catch one type of fish. It's, when I say it out loud, I think, Christ, you are a sad bastard. But I love it, mate. I can't get enough of it, you know. So yeah.
What is it about the fishing for you? And I'm hoping. Well, I think I will get a different answer. So most people that I've ever spoken to in the past, certainly my ex-forces pals, when you ask them about what the interest in fishing is, most of them say it's not really about the fishing. It's about going away for a couple of nights, getting away and getting on it.
Yeah, no, it used to be a bit about that, but it's now there's so much about fishing that I love, right? I actually obviously love catching fish because it's, you know, it's a challenge, right? I love that, but the food, when we go fishing, mate, most people eat, you know, tins of beans and sausages out of the tin. Okay, we don't do that. We've got a bloody slow cooker that we take, and we slow cook ribs and chicken and all of that. We do a fry up in the morning on a barbecue, fry up barbecued bacon and sausages. Oh, mate, it is just the one. We make proper coffee out of a you know, the hob mocha pots, you know, the Italian proper pot.
That I have coffee out of one of them every day.
Yeah, mate, it's the one. We go, so it's brilliant, isn't it? But it's like a ritual, isn't it? It's like a ritual to make it. Every year, me and one of those mates, we go to the River Wye in Wales, and that is the most picturesque scenery, right? We're sat on these like shingle beach, just me and him, no one around, just water, trying to catch fish, normally failing. And then like the evening comes in and we get a bottle of port out and cheese and crackers, and it's just like, oh, this is the one. You know, you can't beat it, mate. You can't. So the food is one. The scenery, I like a proper bum off the scenery as well. You know, like you just see, just cool. It's just nice. There's no cars. There's no noise. There's no nothing. The wildlife, I'm a sucker for wildlife. So like, I don't know why I keep pointing as if kingfishers and all of that. Do you know what I mean? It's just banging, mate. And just, it proper takes you out of the noise, you know, of just general life. You just sit there, me and my mates, talking absolute rubbish, looking at the stars, seeing satellites and all of that. It's just like, yeah, this is cool, man.
I think I know why you're pointing as well, because it's like you say, it takes you away from everything. A bit like the moment when you were in Cambodia, when you kind of listening to your first song, Paul Simon. It sounds as if it's about it's peace, It's just being where you need to be, just there in that moment and nowhere else. And I think the pointing there, correct me if I'm wrong, is because the memories are etched in there, and you can see it. You can see that.
Yeah, you're right. That is it. And when I was doing that just then, I was thinking of a specific moment where we were on this like little kind of like shingly beach in the inside bend of a massive stretch of really picturesque river. It was dead nice, right? Apart from, I talk about stepping out of the noise, there was one fucking goat or sheep making the most horrendous noise. And it just went on and on and on for hours. I was like, come on, man, give it a rest. We're in this lovely setting and you are ruining the vibe. But yeah, part of it was good.
Oh, brilliant. I've got a great question here at the moment, because we've spoken about being present and about loving life. But like you mentioned earlier on, life isn't always up here. It's kind of quite like this. So I'd like to ask you, what would you say has been perhaps the biggest challenge you've faced in the last 10 years, and how did you overcome it?
Cool, that's a good question. I think for me, it's my state of mind and my view of myself. I think is the biggest challenge that I've overcome, because like I said earlier, the view of me back in the day, my view of me, or my perception of me, was very different to what it is now. You know, I viewed me as someone inferior to everyone else, someone who, like, you know, would never make it to kind of anything. Like, oh no, I keep myself to myself. I'll stay to the back of the pack. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that was me. I never put myself forwards for things. Never put my hand up at school. I was that kid. Now it's totally different. You know, I view myself very differently, man. Like I put myself forward for things. I do things. I get out there. I get after life a little bit more, you know, and and life is good, mate. Like I was saying in the call to my group earlier, like right now, I'm probably the happiest that I've ever been in life, you know, and that's quite a cool thing to be able to say, mate. You know, I do a lot of the stuff that I love doing. I go fishing all the time. I ride my mountain bike through the woods, you know, on these trails a lot of the time. The other day I went, I talk about experiences. I woke up at 4:45 or 5:30, whatever it was, just to drive an hour and a half to the beach. I'm in London, or near London, all the way down to the beach, just so I could see a sunset on my own. No one there on this little beach, mate. It was absolutely banging. I didn't realise that this beach was there. You know, it's right on the southeast coast of the UK. On my own, brilliant. Little stove and a kettle and that. Couldn't make any tea though, because I left the fucking water in the car. I didn't know I was gutted, or left the lighter in the car. Realised the lighting thing had broke. I was like, oh. Anyway, I did that, and I like little experiences, little things that I get after life now, you know, and I'm enjoying it, mate. Like I was talking, so I'm single, right? And I was talking to my mum the other day, and she goes, you know, that normal question of any girls and all that kind of jazz. I'm like, well, no, you know, and I can't be bothered with any dating like right now. But I was thinking about this. I would much rather stay as I am and keep living the life that I'm living, rather than get with someone and have to compromise on certain things that I just don't want to compromise on, which I've done in the past, right? I've done that in the past. And I've also, you know, you stay in relationships because you feel like you should do. That's just what you do. When you're going to settle down, you know, why do I have to settle down? What even is settling down? You know what? I don't understand. At the end of the day, here's when we die, right? We just have to enjoy the period between here and here as much as possible, you know? And I think sometimes we can behave in a certain way because of what we think we should do, and, you know, the beliefs of society and all of that, that kind of can take us down the wrong kind of the path of not following our vision and what we want to do. You know what I mean? So
and a lot of that, I know myself, is all down to the way that you feel about yourself at the end of the day.
100%, yeah, definitely. Like I'm so much surer in myself now, and than I've ever been, mate. And it does show. I know it shows. It shows in me. It shows in even the way I look. Like I know I hold myself differently to how I used to, and you know, and the content I love producing content. I love putting all that out there, and it's just me putting myself onto a post, you know. And it's the same when I do any events and all that. It's just me.
I have to ask you about that. I have to ask you about your content.
Yeah.
What would you say? What would you say is your because you use quite a lot of different sort of techniques and stuff. There's some really cool stuff that you've done. What's your personal favorite of all the stuff that you've done? Because I could reel off quite a few.
As in one post.
Yeah, as in like one thing that you kind of got in your mind. You were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool if I did this?" And then you kind of went right and you made it happen.
Yeah, well, that's funny you say that, because that's what I do. I kind of come up with these, and I'm not going to say that I'm some master creator, because I don't think I am, but I've got better over time. I think that there's a few posts where I've made more versions of me. I don't know if you've seen them. Like there was one very weird one where I was sat at the table in the living room, and another one of me came in and sat down and had a little chat with me. So it's two of me talking. I quite enjoyed that. I quite enjoy making things disappear, and like when I did that hat the other day in the ukulele.
Yeah, I need that as well.
Yeah. But I think my favorite are the ones where there's more of me, because that'd be a great world. Let's be honest, more of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got before we move on. I've got a belter of a question before we move on to your next chin.
Do it.
We've got a few. People just so Calvin
Yes.
is watching, saying hello, as is who else we got? Emma, Phil.
Good to see the gang. These are stars, these four people, because they're currently upgrading themselves, and I said to them, you better come and watch me live, otherwise I'm kicking you out of the program. Now, these four, that's how it works, mate. I just bribe them. These four people are bangers. They're cool folks. Three people.
Oh well, they've got this next question is great then for them to hear from their coach. What is the single best piece of advice that you've ever been given? And who gave you it?
Oh, that is really good advice. That is really good. A good question. I feel like I'd love to come back with some kind of really witty answer right now, but I haven't got one. I think the best bit of advice is nothing changes if nothing changes. I mean, it's so simple, and I know it's been done to death in the self-help world, but it's true. Yeah, if you want to see a change, you have to change. You've got to do something about it. You know. You can't just sit back and do what I did every day, wake up and go, oh, I hope today's the day when this feeling of anxiety just goes away, you know, or I hope tomorrow I'll wake up and, you know, the magic hope gods just turn up and change my body and all of that. It doesn't work like that. So I think nothing changes if nothing changes. You got to get out there and make it happen. And I think it was probably Paul Moore I learned that from back in the old days, you know, when we talk about program Unstoppable.
When did you join, Paul?
God, mate, I think I was there for about 3 years before. So I left when I just met you.
Yeah.
You turned up and I went. Oh God, I'm out of here now. See you later. I think it was 2 or 3 years. Yeah. So prior, when did you join?
2019.
18, so about 2016 maybe.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but I started when it was MMIC, which was marketing muscle in a circle. It was like a marketing business marketing kind of thing, and then he kind of evolved the business into a bit more of a sort of personal development type program.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I left there, and then I went to join Simon Gwilliam, who's an absolute Jedi, mate. That guy, he knows his shit, and I learned a lot of the mind related stuff, a lot of neurology, from him. You know, I learned a lot about brainwaves and that. And you know, when you learn things from people, you then go off on different tangents, don't you? And he then introduced me to other areas. Arjuna got involved with him, and you know, I'm just you go off on one. And now I'm fascinated by so much about the mind and what we can do with it. You know, because there's a lot. And like right now, I'm looking into altered states, hence the breathing, hence the cold stuff, and a few other bits and bobs. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So,
no journey to Ecuador or Cameroon to take on like ayahuasca,
mate. Do you know what? Do you know what? I wouldn't dismiss it. To be honest, I wouldn't dismiss it. It's there's a lot of talk about. So in this book, there's 2 books that I've read by a guy called Stephen Kotler, and he's a like master of flow. Have you read them?
No, I've not. I know the name, and I've had because he's written a number of books, hasn't he?
There's Becoming Superman or Superman, and Stealing Fire. And in Stealing Fire, he talks a lot about how, you know, for hundreds and thousands of years, people have tried to access altered states of consciousness, right? You know, like with shamanic drumming and all these kind of ceremonies and things like that in the tribes and all of that. And then, you know, now we try and meditate. We try to get out of our heads, right? Whether that's using meditation or some kind of, you know, what substance or whatever. But in that Stealing Fire, it's fascinating because he talks a lot about, you know, hallucinogenics and how a lot of CEOs of massive, you know, companies microdose. And like, this isn't something that I've, you know, I'm not microdosed with anything, but it's interesting because they're saying, right, hang on, we can, a Buddhist monk can achieve this enlightened, you know, mountaintop perspective typically after 30,000 hours of meditation, right? That's what they've come up with, okay? Which is a lot. That's a long time. But and when they get into these states, clarity increases, creativity increases, and come up with ideas. Well, okay, these CEOs and that have very high-powered jobs, I haven't got time to meditate for 30,000 hours. So maybe there's a shortcut.
Some acid.
Some acid, mate. Yeah, get the acid tabs out. But this is what they're doing, and it's happening all over in like Silicon Valley and that. And apparently, it's really, 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 really like quite big. And it's causing them to just okay, in order for me to think of new ideas, I need to access different states of consciousness. And I find it fascinating. The younger me would have, and certain people maybe listening to this would be like, no, that's not right. That's not a good way to be, because you become dependent and you're a drug addict and all of that. But actually, I don't know. The older I get, the more open-minded I've become with lots of things. And it's a very interesting field. It's quite new, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot for it, and it all comes down to kind of science, doesn't it? On and there's views and opinions on both sides.
Totally.
Have you heard of there was a BBC drama recently called The Tourist?
Oh, I haven't seen it. I've seen it advertised. I haven't seen it. No.
So all I'll tell you about it, it doesn't give anything away, but the kind of chief nutter. As there's always, and it's only like 6 episodes, but the real screwball guy that's in it, he microdoses. He has a water bottle, and he has like a little droplet, and he kind of takes microdoses of LSD every day.
Right.
He also inadvertently sees his brother who's not there.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I think the I mean, on the flip side of it, and this is me saying go and take, you know, some ayahuasca route or whatever, but the flip side is you can open Pandora's box, you know, and that is quite a scary thing. You don't know what's going to happen, and that, like ayahuasca, I've seen some crazy YouTube, you know, you hear some stuff that, but then at the same time, I was, you know, who's the guy out of SAS? Who Dares Wins? Foxy, one of those.
Ollie Ollerton that talked about it in his book.
That's right. Came up with the idea of breakpoint when he did an ayahuasca retreat. So I don't know. There's it's one of those, isn't it? I don't know if I've got the balls to do it, to be honest.
I'd be absolutely right up for it. But my wife has her own views. She's like, "There's no way you're doing that."
Yeah, yeah.
It's just an excuse. It's just an excuse, she says.
Yeah, like a nice holiday of it. The thing
Yeah.
is, as well, I think, like, I don't know, I think try everything, mate. I just think try things. I mean, within reason, obviously, within reason. I don't mean, you know,
Yeah.
go too bad, but I think try it, and not just chemicals and drugs and substances, but just life. Like, say yes a little bit more, and well, no,
Yeah.
I couldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I'm going to look like an idiot. Not sure. It's a bit of a mission. No, say yes more.
It's kind of why I called this the JFDI podcast. I didn't have a clue how to start a podcast. I didn't have a clue how to do a number of the things that I'm kind of now doing. And it turns out actually that, it comes down to that procrastinating. If you can procrastinate, and this as well from like your past, if you kind of think that you're not able to do something, then you're not. It's about changing what's in there, and that's where the whole JFDI thing came from. I love to encourage people to, like you say, and that's why I love about squeezing more of the the out of the gonads of
life.
yeah, it's because I mean, who wants to get, like you've said, who wants to get to their dying day and kind of think, oh man, I wish I'd have done that, or I wish I'd have done that.
I know, mate.
Well,
Yeah,
you want to leave it all in the ring. Leave it all in the ring. Leave it all, done. No regrets.
I'll tell you what. For me, it's only like the last probably 3 or 4 years, maybe 3 years, that I've really started doing that. Up until then, it was like, oh no. For example, that driving out to that beach to watch the sunrise. No, no. Why would you drive somewhere you're going to be there for less time than you're driving? Doesn't make sense. Well, if I have that mentality, I'm never going to have this nice view of a sunrise waking up in the morning. I loved it. It was you miss out on stuff. And by telling yourself that, it means you can't see things and you can't get what you can't see. You know what I mean? So it's very limiting. But now, just get out, just do it, and say yes more.
Should we do your next song?
Yeah, do it.
This is so we're almost like into reggae.
Yeah.
We've got Blazing Fire by Raz Demo.
Yeah, so it's kind of a sort of jungle tune with a bit of rapping over the top. So the reason this is there, it's a banger. I've said that about every tune ever. Like, oh yeah, it's a banger, this one. But it's I used to be a bit of a raver. I was banging to drum and bass music and jungle and all of that. And this tune, just one of many tunes that it comes on and he goes fire, and you hear it and you're like, oh yes, you're just in this. And raving, mate, you get into a flow state. Everyone's dancing to the same beat and it's just banging. Like nothing matters, right? But the reason this is in there is because it's got a bit of kind of rapping and MCing over the top of it. I used to do that, right? I used to MC. This is quite weird. So I went at school and that I was a hockey player and did all this kind of jazz. When I was in sixth form, all my mates got into music, bought decks and that. I couldn't afford decks, but I just was fascinated by these MCs, that get on the mic and better give it all this over the tunes, right? In a rave, right? Hyping the crowd up. And I'm like, that's fucking badass. I want to do that. So I started, ripping off lyrics and started doing it in my bedroom. And then I started writing my own stuff. And then I got into it even more. Then I went to uni, and everyone who I, by chance, moved into halls at uni, and I could hear this drum and bass playing, which is what I was banging into at the time. I walked down, and it was a girl called Ellie. She's one of my best pals. She's married to my best mate, Simo, and went in there. She had decks, right? Little girl from Surrey, playing some jungle. I'm like, wow, I'm going to be friends with you. Next door, so there's 6 people in a hall, right? Then next door was this other guy, Duffield. He's a cool guy, became real good mates with him, into the same kind of music. Anyway, we had this little gang, this little crew, the A3 crew, we called ourselves. But anyway, I carried on MCing and writing stuff and everything else. I got in with the local kind of rave that was up there. Turns out to be a fucking massive rave in the Midlands, and it's still going now. And I started playing. I started getting booked. I got a residency at another night. I started getting bookings. I started getting paid. pretty decent for a student, right? Like 100 quid for just an hour of talking shite down a mic. And I've got my name. I've got flyers like all over the place. I don't know if there's any in here. Flyers, mate, with my name still on it. Menace, that was me, with like Adam F and Mampy Swift and all these like A-list DJs. I'm like, wow, this is nuts. What the hell? It's like weird little guy, you know, like Eminem, like normal, like middle class kind of upbringing. And there's me on a stage in front of like the biggest, I think, was about 2,000 or 3,000 people in an outdoor at a festival in a big tent. And there's me giving it all this. So yeah, mate, I did that, and it was I loved it. And then I finished uni, came back down, kept doing the odd rave and getting a few bookings up there. Did pirate radio, proper pirate, not internet. This was before the internet radio. Proper pirate radio in South London in these dodgy old lockups, you know, highly illegal stuff. But brilliant, and we get people texting in and shouts out, and it was mate, I loved it. It was so cool, such a cool.
You know what I'm going to ask you, don't you?
No.
Can you spit some rhymes?
Mate, not right now. Come on, man. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. We'll do it.
I have something up your sleeve.
Yeah, I know, and I can't come in here giving it all the Billy Big Barry and not actually, you know, saying I do things and whatever. Don't get scared. I'll give you like a very quick line, right? Just because this is a little bit weird with no tunes. Okay. This is a really weird thing. If anyone's still watching, all right, ready? I've got the urge to merge words and write another verse. Rhyme verbs like Wordsworth. I strike like a power surge. Style is diverse. I'm on you like a curse. If you're first with a worse verse, then you get flip reversed over.
Hey,
there you
come
go.
On.
I still do it. I've got tapes. I've got CDs and that in my car of me on the radio. How nuts is that? I listen to myself from sets on the radio, and I get Calvin. Here we go. Yeah, already done, mate. There you go. That's all you're getting.
You know what I'm going to do with that? I'll tell you right now what I'm going to do with that.
Go on.
Because not only do we do the JFDI podcast on local radio, I have a Friday night slot radio show, the JFDI radio show.
Brilliant.
And what I do is I take little clips of guests talking about why they've chosen a specific song, and then I get to play the song on the radio. So I can put that with you spitting some bars, and then we can go straight into Blazing Fire by
there you go. Ras Demo. Perfect. Put it on there.
Yeah.
Fire.
I love it.
Can't believe you did that. I've never done that. Just off the cuff like that. Bit weird.
Mate, well done. Thank you.
There you go. No worries, man. No worries.
A bit of an exclusive.
Bit of an exclusive.
Yeah. So here's two questions for you. One at either end of the spectrum. To do with Project Upgrade. Well, kind of related. So what makes you laugh?
What makes me laugh?
Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what makes me laugh. Brian Gittins, who is on Afterlife. I don't know if you ever watched Afterlife, the Ricky Gervais thing.
Yeah.
He is my favorite. I've been in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I've been obsessed with that bloke. I've watched all the outtakes. I've been messaging certain people about it, and it's mate. I cannot get enough of that guy. Stupidness makes me laugh. Right? Stupidness makes me laugh. Other people laughing make me laugh. Right? That makes me laugh a lot. I make me laugh because I'm a hilarious bloke. But just the silly things, mate. You know, I don't take life too seriously. I don't get involved in politics and all of that rubbish. I fill my life with as many things that make me laugh. What's that again?
It can make you angry, can't it? You get too wound up in sort of, like you say, politics and sort of other people's problems.
Yeah, I can't be bothered with that. I've got my own problems to deal with, mate. So very, you know, Gervais makes me laugh a lot. That Brian guy makes me laugh a lot, and you know, all of that. The outtakes make me laugh because it's mainly full of people laughing. But I've got a folder on my phone. It's just called Funny Stuff, and it's just any little clip that I come across, I save it and put it in there. And so anytime I'm feeling a bit crappy or I don't know, a bit nervous about something or whatever, I just go through that folder and anything in it, will make me laugh, and I watch it.
Well, you might have actually inadvertently just answered my next question, which was, whilst we've got what makes you laugh, what kind of things worry you, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, good question. That I tend to, in all honesty, I don't really worry too much anymore. Like I used to really worry about what I look like, how I come across, how I'm dressed, what other people think of me. I used to worry about that a lot, man. Now, I don't. That's not there. I kind of maybe I get a bit. What's the right word? Not apprehensive, concerned. I want anyone who is coming through my programs to have a good experience and to notice a difference. I want people to leave me in whatever capacity they've been with me feeling better than they did. There's a quote that I heard recently: people don't remember you for the things that you said, they remember you for how you make them feel. Yeah. So I want to make people feel good, and something that would concern me is me making someone feel not good. I don't really like that. Quite an empathetic person, and I like to leave people. I like people to leave feeling a bit better than maybe when they did at the beginning. So I want to deliver a good service with work. I want to be a good person. I want to be grateful in that. But yeah, worry is kind of a word that I've tried to eradicate, mate. To be fair, I kind of tend to not worry. If I get a bit apprehensive. I've got this live event on Saturday. Which is, I'm a bit apprehensive about that. I've got a bit of the fear, but I deal with that. I've got the skills and the tools to deal with it. Like I meditate every day and I write, journal. I take myself off and be still and sit on a bench like a pedo for 10 minutes. I'm not a pedo. I've said that a few times. I'm not a pedo, by the way, everyone. I'm just put that out there. Don't put that on the live show, mate.
I won't put that on the radio. I got into trouble on my first live show for putting some X-rated language out. Yeah, ironically, I think it was just a Jerry Cinnamon song that had a fuck in it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's another thing, isn't it? I mean, but words. That's another thing. I was talking about this on another live I did the other day about getting offended. I don't get really offended by anything anymore, and I think a lot of people get offended very easily. There's a lot of people having to issue apologies, and some rightly so. But there's a guy that put a post out the other week, and he's backtracked, and he's now saying, "I'm sorry for doing that. I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for that." I'm like, well,
I know.
It's a tough one, isn't it? It's a tough one. That it's a bit of a deep one, but yeah.
I know, and that's we could kind of go right down the Joe Rogan, Russell Brand kind of Spotify and all of that jazz, but let's not.
No, let's not go there. No, let's not do that, mate.
Let's not. Let's talk about your last song. I can't believe that's us. We're rattled through, and we've got to
banger.
We've got another banger. Columbia by Oasis.
Yeah, I love Oasis. Best band in the world, mate. I absolutely love Oasis, man. I can play them loud any time of day. And Columbia is a wicked song. Now, the only reason this is in there, it's not really, there's no sentimental value or anything to this tune. It's just, I just love Oasis and they just make me feel good. But yeah, I've got a few mates, my close circle of friends. We talked earlier about laughing. What makes you laugh? My pals make me laugh. My close mates. There's probably about 4 or 5 real, in a tight network, and they're funny bastards, mate. And this just reminds me of a random conversation I had with a mate. Mates where you just send weird messages to each other just randomly, and And I was listening to that one day, and I just texted him. I was like, in Colombia, do you sing the high bit or the low bit, like the null bit or the, I can't tell you the way I feel. I was like, Columbia, do you sing the high bit or the low bit? He goes, that's a really good question. I'm going to think about it. There's those random things. It just reminds me of this guy. It's funny. But yeah, that song is just nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, always. I had the the good fortune to see Oasis, I think,
Oh,
3 times.
oh,
And
jealous.
that song live, there's not many in their repertoire that kind of top that live.
Yeah, no, that you know the main road gig.
Oh yeah,
Seen that? Legendary, yeah.
yeah. I wasn't at that one. But that was a good one for them to record.
Yeah, massively. I only saw them. I saw them support like in the later years, supporting Kasabian when they were like just on the way out a bit, to be honest, and they weren't that great. But yeah, I'll tell you, well, no, they would have been great, but the sound system was crap, and
Mm.
it was just no, I don't know. It wasn't really, wasn't really feeling it, to be honest.
Would you
But
think
yeah,
they'll, do you think there's any chance that they'll do a Stone Roses and get back together at some point?
you've got to hold on hope, haven't you? Just because it would be incredible, but I don't know. I don't know. Who knows, mate? I would love to see it.
Would be nice. Liam doesn't seem to be needing it right now. He seems to be flying.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Yeah, I'm not sure about that new tune though. That she's something electric.
Everything's electric.
Yeah, that. Yeah, not sure about
Yeah,
that.
do you know what? Karen and I, my wife, we were talking about this when he sang it at the Brits. I watched him at the Brits, and I think it was maybe the 3rd time I'd heard it, and I was like, I think it's a grower. It's like,
Yeah,
but it's going to need to listen to it a few more times.
yeah.
I watched the video that's just got the lyrics on it, and it kind of made me think about again what we were saying earlier on about what it actually means. Is he having a pop? Is he just kind of talking about the world, or is he just is it just words? But I'm there with you. Jury's out. I think I might like it, but I'm not 100% on it at the moment. So
He's doing a few gigs, isn't he? I've got mates that are going to see him in Nebworth actually.
Yeah.
And I would like to go to that, to be fair, because he just belts out a lot of Oasis, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what my wife said to me? We saw Liam solo at the Hydro about 3 years ago. I think it was just as just as the second album was about to come out. And she said, do you know what? I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed seeing Oasis because that twat Noel wasn't there.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, she's not a Noel fan. She said I actually preferred it to an Oasis gig, and it was actually like you were at an Oasis gig when he started like belting out all the stuff from Definitely Maybe and What's the Story.
Brilliant.
So
That's interesting because a lot of people are the opposite way around. Well, actually, I'm not sure, but
there's a lot of people that are it's one of those, isn't it? Like Team Noel and Team Liam.
It is. Yeah.
I've got 4 questions left for you, and you'd almost think I'd done this before. I'm not kidding you. You can see it right there.
Yeah.
The next question segue nicely into what's your favourite ever gig?
Favourite ever gig? It's not gig. It's time at a gig. I was at Glastonbury and I saw Foals were playing the Sunset set, and then after them, Muse came on, and Muse, oh mate, they just played bangers. They didn't play much of the like singy stuff. They just fucking went for it, mate. And it was, I was suitably inebriated, and it was the best kind of 2 hours, I think, of my listening to music live. I absolutely loved it. Like that Muse set was just off the scale, mate. Absolute. Just, I love the word banger, but just they were just bangers. Just, guitar, drums, going for it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Here's one for you.
Well, then.
What would your life story be called?
What? Do you know what I almost said then? I almost quoted, but did you ever watch Bottom? Rick Mail.
Yeah.
Yeah, he once said, what was his life story? I did it my way, on my own, and now my wrist hurts. But I don't know what I would call my life story. Probably, I think I'd call it this, actually. Lived, worried less, laughed more, and lived and squeezed more out of the gonads of life. That's what I would call it. That's what I'd call it. Yeah. Good question.
So £100 million. Here you are.
Jesus.
What do you do? You don't need to worry about money ever again. 100 million. What are you going to do with it?
Well, I'd first of all say the really boring thing and make sure my folks and my family and all that are good. I'd give a large portion of it away, 100%, because 100 million, no one needs 100 million quid. I'd give it to certain charities or set up charities and do something for mental health, 100%. But that's kind of standard, isn't it? Really standard. What I would do is I would buy myself a fishing boat, 100%. I would go on loads of fishing adventures with my mates. We go all around the world. Just go fishing, mate. I buy myself a new mountain. I don't know. I'm really not a material person. As I've got older, I've become so grateful for what I have got that you spend less time thinking about the stuff you haven't got. And so I don't really, I don't know. The only things that I'll tend to spend money on is fishing gear, really. And that's it. Like, I don't buy clothes all the time. I buy trainers, but that's it, mate. That's it. I'd still work. I would 100% still do what I do. I would just put a lot of that money into Facebook adverts to get me out there more. Right, what a boring bastard I am. But again,
be about that advertising would be about trying to help more people, right?
Yeah, totally.
That's what gives you a buzz.
And I would travel, mate. I would spend it on traveling and experiences, 100%. You know, I'd go and do all the things that I say I want to do more of. Like, I'd go and do more skydives. I'd go and do more scuba diving. I would go and, learn skills. I'd teach myself. I'd get someone to teach me how to play the guitar properly, so I don't just play bloody, the same Oasis songs over and over again, because that's all I can play. I would do that. I would learn. I would learn from the best people I can learn from, and and all of that. Because I think ultimately you get bored of new cars, you get bored of a house and all of that. I think, but you don't get bored of these experiences, do you? And seeing new stuff. So that's what I'd do. I'd also learn to kayak properly.
And invite Arjuna out for
and invite him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where have you not visited in the world that you would like to go to?
South America. I've never been to South America, so I would like to go. You mentioned it earlier. I would like to go to South America. I'd like to go to Nicaragua and go up the volcano. I forget what it's called, but there's a volcano in Nicaragua that you can go in and look. I love volcanoes and all of that gnarly stuff, so I'd like to go there. There's also, I can't remember where it is. There's a volcano you can ski next to, which is nuts. It's probably not recommended, but I definitely would like to do that. So I've not been there. I have not been to like the North Pole. I'd like to go to Norway and Iceland. I'd like to go and see the Northern Lights. I'd like to stay. I don't know if you've seen these. I think it's in Iceland where you can stay in these like pods.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. I want to go there, mate, where you can just look back and hopefully see the Northern Lights and all of that, and get on some jets and some skidoos and all of that. Skiing, I'd like to. There's loads, mate. I want to ski I'd like to go skiing in America or Canada. I'd like to go and go fishing and look at the bears and all of that. Mate, there's so much, isn't there? There's so much.
I know.
But,
yeah.
For now, it's just adventures in the UK right now, and there's so much to see in this country, isn't there? I'll tell you where I am going to go though. Scotland. I'm going to come up your way at some point because I know quite a few people up there, and I want to do a bit of a road trip. So I'm probably going to drive up, and I'm going to do a bit of wild camping as well and visit people. I'll come and say hello to you. You can take me up in the loft. Take me in the loft. That sounds weird.
I'm going to say, we'll go and jump in the loch.
Yeah, definitely, 100% do that, mate. Yeah, so do that, visit a few people, and then just go somewhere into the woods or somewhere and wild camp for a little bit. Mission.
Brilliant.
I love it.
Yes. I'll take you up in that, most certainly.
Yeah, we'll do it, mate. 100%.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Where are you?
I'm literally smack bang between Glasgow and Edinburgh, Bathgate area. So it's that sort of like M8 that runs sort of like central Scotland. We are literally 5 minutes off like the middle of it. So can't really get much more central.
Brilliant.
But at the same time, we're only sort of 5-10 minutes from nowhere really as well. So you can get out into the house and stuff like that pretty quickly. So
I love
yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, we'll do it, mate.
Listen, thank you very much indeed for coming on and talking to me tonight. Do you know that we've almost tanned an hour and a half?
I've just looked at that, mate. Yeah, that's gone, isn't it? That has gone.
It's gone like that.
Yeah.
So
thanks for having me.
I just want to ask you one more thing. For anybody that's watching that didn't know you before this evening, and they maybe want to worry less, laugh more, and squeeze more out of the gonads of life, how can they find out more about Project Upgrade or what you're doing out there on social media?
Yeah, just get on it. I've cleverly, you'll notice, put my screen name as my Facebook, Instagram, and all that. Get on there. I haven't got a website. I'm getting a site done, but everything's on there. You'll get a feel of me. You'll see what I post about, and there's a few links in the link in bio, and that will take you through to when the next challenge is and all that. So I run a free challenge every kind of 4 to 6 weeks. I run a free 7-day challenge, and that gets people through the door, gets people to see what it's all about and how actually you can make a difference to how you feel in your life in 7 days with just a few little changes, you know. So yeah, jump on that, follow me, and like my stuff.
I love it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Enjoyed it.
We'll say a final sort of farewell to some of your viewers. This is my good lady wife, Karen. Great chat. She's enjoyed
Karen.
that.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
And we obviously had Jane and Calvin and Emma had all chipped in, joined the conversation as well. So thank you all for watching. I've had an absolute blast. Have you got any final words for the viewers before we go?
I have, actually. I've got a word for Dave Watson. David Watson, the man, is in here. Didn't realise he was lurking in the background. He's just popped up. Yeah, he's lurking. He's a lurker, old Watson, isn't he? Them Southwest Sweden drinking folks are all lurkers in their baggy trousers. So yeah, hello to him. Kerry Smith, my friend, who's also a Scot. Hello to you, lurking in the background. And Jane, thanks very much. Yeah, no. Final words. Follow me, you bastards, and like my stuff.
Wonderful.
Good,
please stay in the green room, and we'll have a quick 5 minutes before you go. To everybody that's tuned in, thank you so much. We'll be back next week, probably at 8. We've got another of my ex-forces colleagues joining us, and we'll keep it a surprise and let you know in the middle of the week. So thank you for tuning in to the JFDI podcast, and we shall see you next time. Thank you, Phil.